Hey everyone. Hey guys, welcome. Hey guys. Hey, what's up? Hey guys. Hey Ramana. Hey. Hey Nadina. Where are you guys from? Say hello. Awesome. We are waiting for Elliott. Now we're going to have an awesome conversation about all things money mindset and being a healer and how to get over ourselves, basically. Hey,
Hi.
I feel like I haven't seen you in so
Hi.
long.
I've missed you. This is
I miss
so
you too.
yay. I hope I'm like looking in the camera. I'm not sure where to look, but I hope I'm looking in the camera.
You look gorgeous. I love your like set always, your essential oils, which are essential.
100%.
Oh my God. So, you guys, for those of you who don't know, Elliot is a force. She's amazing. She's a mindset coach. She also practices Psych K, which is a really fast transformational, experience. And she was part of the Ignite program. So she also was part of the OG inaugural crew, Group One. So if you guys have any questions for her about anything regarding money mindset, regarding life, regarding healing, regarding the Ignite program, be sure to just drop it in the comments. We are so excited to talk to you guys about creating abundance and bringing in abundance for yourself using the power of your thoughts and the power of like lots of inner work and practice, I guess I would say.
Yes. It's 99% inner work.
It really is. And it was really funny. I remember like making, God, like two or three hundred dollars a week, like waitressing and being like, oh, like I can't pay my bills. And it's either a bill or like dinner tonight. And it's like, it was so stressful. I was like, this does not feel good. And this does not feel like, yeah, like anything I really want to continue doing. But I also felt really unattainable to actually move out of that kind of paycheck to paycheck life that I was living, a 9 to 5, going to school full time, interning full time, which you know very well because you're also a licensed social worker, and then trying to make it all work. So, yeah, talk to us about money mindset and like what do we need to know?
Yeah, okay, definitely want to jump in, but somebody said it sounds like there's noise in the background, so I just want to address that y'all can hear us okay, because the worst thing is like trying to listen, especially on the replay, to something
Oh,
that
yeah.
I can also put in my earbuds if my
Yeah,
earbuds.
if you guys just want to let us know if there are any further audio issues, we are happy to work them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead, and then if you guys have any issues, let us know. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, well, I have lots to say as always, because I get super lit up about all this and speaking with you, Gabby. So, I'm gonna try to like streamline it as best as possible. But I think like a really good place to start is just like introducing myself and saying like my background and where I've come from, and to the point to and getting to the point to where I am right now. So I am a licensed social worker. My background has been in social work for the last decade, nearly a decade. I have been in different types of social work, and that's the beauty of social work is you can kind of jump around and do different things. But I was with the government for 8 years, just left last week to be in coaching full time, which I'm so excited about. Yay! But it was a journey to
That's
get here.
huge.
I
Congratulations.
know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like 100%, like 100% it was because of the container of your mastermind. So I'm so grateful for that experience because it expedited my experience to getting here. 1,000%. So for me, like it was a journey to get here, and we all have our own individual stories, which I think is so beautiful to acknowledge, and mine really isn't any different or any better than anyone else's. I actually sometimes feel like I wish I would have gotten here much sooner, given everything I know now. But we're all on our individual timelines. So my background is so I come from a place of, especially if we're talking money mindset, I come from a place where subscribing to doing what everyone else thinks that you should do. So go to school. I wanted to help people at that time in our lives, there's only one way to help people. You have to go on and get like a higher education. You have to go on. Coaches weren't really a thing then. They were, but not really a thing at 10 years ago, right? To really like see them where they are today.
Not that I knew of either.
No, and they didn't offer that in school as a program, and so I went into social work, got my master's in social work, subscribed to the 9 to 5 when I literally remember saying, I'm never going to work 9 to 5 because I love working for myself. I love the freedom and opportunity that working for myself can have. But with student loans and just everyone saying this is what you need to do, it's what I did. And I got stuck, so to speak, for 8 years, 8 to 10 years working for somebody else. So I think what's really interesting to note too is, money stories and money mindset. When you talk about our conditioning and when we talk about like where we come from, everybody has their own story and it's super individual. So I think like your experience and your conditioning, Gabby, sorry, I think we're freezing. Oh no.
A little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how we're both like, what?
It's a little choppy in and out, but I can hear you.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it all makes sense. So we all have our own story. So mine comes from like pain. Like my background is something like I grew up from a divorced family. My father passed away when I was 13 years old. We had some help, but not a ton of help growing up. My mom was a single parent for most of my life. And so I've kind of learned to do everything on my own because there was always limited help available. And that in itself conditions you to live your life and take action according to those beliefs, a certain way. And so for me, like, talking about money stories too, something that was really important for me when I was 13 and my father passed away, we're going to jump right into subconscious mindset because this is the base of what I do. But what's so interesting is my father passed away and he was not paying child support prior to his death for a few years. And so when a parent dies, the receiving parent then gets what's called survivor benefits if there's children involved. And so we started receiving more income because of my father's death. So at 13 years old, I remember saying to myself and to my friends, well, at least mom will have more help with raising us kids. And if you can imagine a 13-year-old mindset or a 13-year-old brain saying that, like, we're not developed to think that way. And yet my trauma response to pain was survival, to be honest. And that's our brain's instinct, is survival. And so what's really interesting is I realized recently, it almost took me 2 decades to figure this out, but one of my deep, deep, deep money stories was money equals pain, because I had associated receiving money with pain and loss. And that, when you just think about that, if we're talking about the subconscious and we're thinking about how this influences the rest of our lives, that's powerful. The idea that I believed that if I received money, then I would be in pain. So what happened for me as that played out over the next nearly 2 decades of my life is I found myself in constant debt. So whether that was student loan debt, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of credit card debt over and over and over. Like, that was a cyclical pattern to figure out. Like, I just couldn't hold on to money and I couldn't figure out why. And I don't know if any of y'all can relate, because this is like painful when you're in it and you're like, I can't understand why. I don't know what I'm spending it on. I'm not going on lavish vacations. I'm not buying anything crazy. Right. Like what
it's
is
just
going
gone.
on
It's like falling through your hand like sand. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like gone.
Literally.
And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
And all you see is like the numbers keep going higher and you pay it off, and then it like somehow gets back up there within a year's time, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And it, runs the shame cycle, runs the cycle of many self-defeating thoughts. Well, what I realized, what was happening for me, is my subconscious had the association that money equaled pain. So it wouldn't let me, my body wouldn't let me hold on to money. It wouldn't let me have it for a period of time, because if I did, it meant pain and loss. And
Mm.
our body's job is protection, right? It's survival. That's like what our body wants us to do most. And when it doesn't feel safe, it's going to do whatever it needs to do to create that sense of safety again. And unconsciously, what was happening in my body is like, get rid of the freaking money, get rid of everything because it's not safe to have it. And I can't tell you what that did for me to discover that and to have not only the awareness and the compassion for like that little, that little girl inside of me that was still feeling so much pain around that experience that I thought, I had healed and worked through. But then to also take back the reins of my life to say that, like money doesn't have to be this really scary thing for me anymore. It doesn't have to be this really painful experience. And since healing that, I can't even tell you how far I've come with my money journey. It's really fascinating and really fun to think about the opportunities that lie ahead of us when we get through some of those barriers, those blocks, that resistance, that, that trauma. Does that make sense, Gabby?
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. And you're speaking to my people because I always talk about the subconscious mind and how powerful it is. And
Yeah.
what an incredible thing to come to this place of awareness where you're recognizing the link between this childhood trauma and money, and how that is really insidious. And that becomes kind of the record player underneath the level of your conscious awareness that then impacts the way that you feel about money. And it's funny, like I have a very different story, but I have a very similar kind of give it all away. It's very uncomfortable. There were days I did not want to look at my bank account, and not because it wasn't bad, but because it was just deeply uncomfortable to look at the abundance. I just wasn't used to it. And there was a couple of other things, but when you can link kind of these subconscious beliefs around abundance, around money, to whatever your programming was early on, you're going to unlock something really big for yourself. I think for me, the people who really bullied me and the people who tormented me were really wealthy. And they came from extremely powerful families, and families that had a lot of clout in the private school where I went. So no one really could get my back because they were donating so much money that they didn't want to stop these kids from harassing me. So what ended up happening was just like years and years and years of this. And I found out later on, like this was like recent through my own journey in Amanda Bucci's mastermind, that my whole discomfort with money is I never want to be that person. Like I just associate wealth and abundance with like bad people. My biggest fear is like turning into that or being in pain. Yeah, it's like this kind of victim or victimizer, and it just is deeply uncomfortable. So what I do is I ignore it, or I'll like spend it on all these different things that I think I need, which in the last year, now that I've grown my business, it's been like, I can't do that. I really have to pay attention to all of these things. So, but like, so I don't know if you guys have any like childhood experiences. Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, if you guys want to drop a comment, like, let us know if any of this is resonating for you. Let us know if you guys have money mindset stuff, if you have difficulty setting your fees, if you have difficulty collecting when clients are no-shows, if you feel like you got to give your stuff away for free because it's the right thing to do. These are often things that I think we as healers are really taught, is how we're supposed to operate. So you were going to say?
I was going to say something, and now I was really into what you were saying and on a different train of thought. So I'll come back to whatever it was I was going to say. But yeah, I think you brought up a good point, especially like you mentioned as healers. And I think even when you just think of yourself like as a healer or as a therapist or as somebody in the helping profession, right? Like we are trained not only like from school or, society to give, because we have these gifts that can help others. And so the expectation, I think, innately is just to give and to be of service. Yet, I think that goes even deeper when we feel like we have a responsibility, especially like as women too, we feel like there's a responsibility to give and to nurture and take care of. And so I think it's really hard to find that line of I'm showing up to be in service and I'm also here for me. Like I'm also honoring my needs and my value and my energy, and finding that line of what feels really good. And and like sitting with that, because ultimately, and I found this just in my experience as I've navigated all the changes in my life, especially in the last year, which have been really massive and really powerful. And it all comes back to safety. Like we were talking about, like if your body doesn't feel safe with the changes that are occurring, if
Yeah.
your body doesn't feel safe having the money because it might make you a mean person, or it might mean I might lose something so dear to me again. Like if our body's made that association and it doesn't feel safe having it, it's going to do whatever it can to keep that thing from you. And so it's really important to acknowledge, like, not
Yeah.
only like is there conditioning for and programming for how we're expected to show up, especially in the helping profession, but then also like, like what is our own conditioning? Like what is, what's happened in our lives that's keeping us
A
from
hundred percent.
wanting to own what it is we want to make, and what it is, the impact we're here to have, and like really getting real and raw with ourselves, and taking ownership of that.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And we have a question that I'm going to get to in 1 second, but I think it's really important to note, you guys, like you cannot have a huge impact without money somewhere in the equation. If you really want to change the world, if you really want to change big fucking things, you're going to need to have money to finance that. If you want to start your own wellness collective, if you want to like put a wellness hub in every major city
Yeah.
in the world to help people, if you want like whatever dream you have, that was mine. I wanted to have like basically a gym, but it would be like a holistic mental health place, like in
I
every
love that.
city. You have to have money to build that shit. Yeah. So we really do need to work on this kind of like layered programming as women, as healers. Specifically, you and I are therapists and we come from that field. There's a lot of conditioning there to do your stuff for free. And to really understand that you can actually be in far more service and give far more if you are able to take care of yourself and have
Mm,
abundance than rather if you're like working 80 hours a week, burning out, you're not able to actually get like interventions together because you're so stressed and you have so much going on and you're not actually able to really serve your clients and see your mission through because you're so busy just trying to survive. And there has to be a
yeah.
better way. And through the way that I've grown on therapy coaching and how you're doing it with your business is we are able to offer so much free content and helpful stuff to anybody who wants it. That's completely 100% accessible via
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, via videos, via
Mm-hmm.
whatever my podcast now, like whatever we're creating,
Yeah.
we create a lot of free stuff so it's accessible. Then we have different tiered options that work for us so that we're supported in our energy exchange and what we're here to do, and that we can serve different people at different areas of wherever they are financially. So there
Yeah,
is a
that's
way to
awesome.
actually serve. I've served hundreds of thousands of more people this way than I would have struggling at an internship working for free.
1 to 1. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I completely agree with you.
let me quickly. I'm so sorry. Let me quickly like jump in because there's a couple of questions and I want to make sure we get to them.
Of course.
So I don't know if you can see. Can you see this here?
Hmm.
Did it pop up on yours? Okay,
It
cool.
did. It's
So
cut out
Queen of
though.
the Foxes. Okay, so I'll read it out. So Queen of the Foxes asked, she said, thank you for doing this. Starting my coaching certification, how to price as a new coach without selling myself short.
Mm. Oh, was that the full question?
Yeah. So that
Okay.
was, yeah. So how do
Uh,
you price yourself without selling yourself short? And I think like this has a lot to do with understanding the energy exchange that you're putting into the program that you're creating. So if you are creating something where you're recording videos and you're writing workbook modules and you're creating homework and you're doing Slack support in between, and you're working with somebody individually versus working with a group, those are all differently priced. And I want you to think about what kind of hourly wage, what's your hourly fee? Okay, and start there and then kind of write down all the things, like break down all the work that you're going to do to create this and see how many hours that, takes. And then kind of do the math and see, okay, what does that look like? And then also factor in the energy it takes to, be present, to collect the resources during the actual program, to continue to show up to support your clients, how many hours essentially you're serving them during the program. And then you can always create payment plans if it's uncomfortable for you to do it like a lump sum, which I do all the time. That way you can actually price something that feels good. So think about like the hourly wage that you would give yourself, given all the education you have, your experience, the things you've been doing. And you may also, as a new coach, you may want to take on some beta clients for free, just to like really sharpen your skills, give somebody a great experience that's affordable, and also then be able to kind of feel out. That also helped me feel out my pricing as well. So I don't know if you have any suggestions on this.
I love that, Gabby, because yes, I would say all of that, and B, what was most important for me to pay attention to was I knew I provided value. Like I knew that my experience and the work that I was doing and the client results like showed the value, and I needed to know that my energy exchange, which we had many conversations about this, Gabby, was fair. And it was really important for me to know that as I was showing up, how depleted did I feel after each session or each package ended or working with clients? Did I feel like the exchange of value, my hourly rate, did I feel like that was a fair value for the energy that I gave? And that I showed, because for me, like I give everything. When I show up to a session, like you get full Leo L, like it's full hype man status, and it's beautiful and it's really great. And it's that's a lot of energy to give to a lot of people for $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $150 an hour, right? So figuring out whatever feels good for that energy exchange that's really genuine and in integrity for you. And I think that's what's most important too, is in integrity. So thinking about how to figure out how to price yourself as a new coach. Gab, I love what you said about beta or free sessions. I did a lot of those, and I not only just to even though I have a background in therapy, coaching is different, and the style of coaching that I'm doing is different. And so I wanted to show up in service. So I gave, and it was really, really beautiful. It was a beautiful opportunity for me to create testimonials. It was a beautiful opportunity for me to just give back to my community who had been supporting me thus far. It was a really great opportunity for potential clients to get a taste of what I do and the transformations that can happen. And then a lot of them ended up signing up, which is really cool. So there's a lot of unique ways to kind of figure out pricing. But I think for me, and this is just how I operate, is what feels like a fair energy exchange. And like, do you feel like $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $150, $500, whatever it is for you, do you feel like that's a fair exchange? Gabby, do you have anything else to add to that?
Nope, I think that's it. I think to stay in your integrity, you need to understand also the difference between what feels like a fair energy exchange and am I copping out to my programming. So just be mindful of like where it's coming from, right? Because it can be sneaky.
Yeah.
We can call it like, oh, this feels in integrity, but really it's I'm afraid to charge my worth. So ask yourself and be real with yourself. Like, is this really because you feel in your integrity, feel good about the energy exchange? Or are you undervaluing yourself because you're still struggling with something that's subconscious and internal, or something else that's happening for you? And we have another question.
And I think I just want to add to what you said, Gabby, charging your worth. So I want to it's always that languaging is always really careful, right? Like, because we're not like how much we charge or how much even, I guess even further, I'll say how much we make is not like determinant of our worth or our value. Like we're inherently valuable. We're inherently worthy, right? And there's absolutely layers of conditioning that come in to say like, well, who am I to be this person? Who am I to charge this? Who am I to show up in a way? Am I good enough? All of that kind of programming comes up, and that's what keeps us from saying, fuck yes, this feels really good. This feels really good for me. And something further I want to add to that makes a lot of sense and was so critical that I found in the container that you held for us in the mastermind, Gabby, was like seeing that other people are doing it too. So like a good coach will show up for you and like challenge some of that. So if you're getting coaching certification, you have somebody leading you hopefully, or some Q&A available, and like find people who are doing what you're doing and see what they're charging. Like expand your lens, like you expand your people, your subconscious mind to say that like, oh, what other people are doing and charging is also possible for me too. And that's, Gabby did that right away with us. And it it took me a minute because I was really uncomfortable. I know, with the safety of it. Like, I was like, oh my gosh.
I remember.
Like, I know. I was literally like, pump the brakes, guys. Like, slow down. Like, I need to be on board with this. You're like, nope, this is, trust me. Like, you know, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, and I needed a second to check in with myself and say, like, is this something that feels good for me? And it was super scary. And I knew that it made so much sense for me, and a coach like will do that for you. It's really beautiful to have someone say like, this is really what you can be charging, and then work through those beliefs, some of those limiting beliefs, and like the not good enough stuff, the not worthy enough stuff that comes up in between that. But what was really cool and what I really valued about the mastermind container was that it like held a space for us to really like be there together, and that we were all doing it together and charging something similar or on the same base, so to speak. And I think that that's really powerful because there's so much safety in community, or there can be so much safety in the right community, right? And so like finding that community and building that safety to say like fuck yes, we can charge, you know, like hell yes, we can do this, and it can look like this, and this is the standard, and like you give so much value, and it's so safe for you to be supported in the monetary exchange of that. So I wanted to add that too, because that's really valuable to think about, especially if you're even thinking about Gabby's program, like finding people who are doing what you want to do to show your subconscious that it's possible for you too, is like absolutely necessary. And being in a space like the mastermind container for several months really allowed you to like build that sense of safety and community, and it like normalized everything for you too, which was really necessary for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think honestly, one of the things I see the most like repeated like problems or areas of stress is the money stuff, is the charging the fees, is wanting to, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's wanting to serve and not be greedy or like taking things from anybody. Guys, like I promise you, you do not have to hold a gun to anybody's head and rob them. Just because you have a high fee for services that, you know, and the fee is fair for the energy and the services you're providing, you're not forcing anybody to like give you their last dollar. And if you are, please stop. That's not ethical. Like, please don't do that. And give them their penny or their dollar back. But
sales process gone wrong.
You're offering something. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not like robbing anybody of what they don't want to already give you because of what you're going to provide for them. And if that's not a good container for them, then you can always point them to other ones that are differently priced or have a payment plan that extends. I do payment plans that extend past the container of the time that we're together, if that works for you. Like you can make it work on an individual basis, and don't be so rigid with your pricing that you can't be flexible in how you work out the deliverables and then work out payment plans.
Right. And I think as you said, leading with service always, like, you know, when you're giving so much initially, especially if you're doing free sessions and putting out content, you know, using social media as a platform to be like educational, like there is a fair value of exchange, and people are receiving so much from you. And so it doesn't feel like when people show up and say like, I want to, I'm not sure if I can afford this program. It's not about selling them. I never have found that like I have to sell clients. It's like, here's how much value is here. Here's how much service I lead with. And I empower you to make that decision for yourself. I'm going to be here either way. And I empower you to make that decision.
Yeah. Like we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And it's never about trying to sell somebody. I think that's like a misconception too, that it's so much. I think when you lead with service, it speaks for itself. And that's just an integrity.
Yeah, that's where it all feels really good. I think I was talking to actually someone who's in the new around, and we've been voice noting back and forth all the time before we even get started, because she's feeling like she's working, and not getting the clients that she needs, and she's putting all this stuff out there and like pushing. And really there's so much of a better way than, we don't have to chase people down. We don't have to keep track of 100 leads and go back and forth and follow them and engage with them and like try and hook them in. That's such a different, that's kind of the old paradigm of sales, and like
1,000%.
Right?
And it's scarcity mindset too. In my opinion, when you're chasing, like if I have to like work really hard for something, I'm questioning then what is it about this that isn't quite making sense or aligning for me? Because if I'm chasing someone or something and it's that hard or it's that difficult, what place am I chasing from? Am I chasing because I feel like I have to have the client or I need money? Because if you're coming from that scarcity place, that's a whole different energetic exchange than I am here. I have enough right now as is. I don't need a client. I'm here to serve clients. That is a very different energetic exchange. And therefore like your clients receive that too. They know that difference. If you're like what I loved about your program, Gabby, it was a place of it was always like, we are here. We create a container to show up and be consistent in, and it is open for you versus like we are going out and grabbing you, right? And it is such an old paradigm, and it's very bro-y, bro sales, and I would question if there's ever a place bro-y. Of you. It is. If you see some of those like older coaches and the way that they sell it is kind of bro-y. And I think that when we lead from such an intentional place, like when we show up with such intention, and again, we're here to serve, we lead with service, it is a much different exchange, and it is a much different value that we give to our clients or potential clients or just our audience or just anyone in general.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, then we have another question. Nadina Hoffs asked a little while ago, can you address having enough money and yet wanting more money, guilt and shame in parentheses? Okay. So I'm assuming that means, I think you get it, right?
I think so. I think it's, do you have guilt and shame around having money but wanting more money? Because to me, like, where's the shame? Like, where's the shame coming from? Like, why do you not feel abundant and deserving of more if, where's the shame story for you? And that's what I would question, I would question like where in your life was your programming and conditioning saying, I can't have more than I want or more than I need, probably rather. Like, if you have just enough, then that's okay. And that's an older generation for sure. That's very like Great Depression, like can't have more than you need because what if it's gone?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's again, looking into that mindset, that programming. What is your history around money? What is your conditioning? What were your caregivers like with money? What have your experiences been like? Do you have any trauma around it? Someone had asked, I think, let me see in the questions, Hannah. Oh, hey, Hannah. Hannah Kasilka. So she had asked, like, what are some practices you use? And it cut off, but I think it's, what are some practices you use to bring about, I'm assuming, moving past these subconscious blocks?
Great question. Everyone has their own modality. Like Gabby said in the beginning, I use a process called Psych-K that uses muscle testing to help us not only identify the limiting belief or the block or the trauma or the resistance, but also helps us move through it in that session too and release it. But there are many, many modalities. I mean, like, I know, Gabby, you love hypnosis. I do too. I think it's a wonderful tool to help reprogram the subconscious mind. There's so much free information out there for hypnotherapy, hypnosis, but also like breath work is great to move through some of these blocks and resistance, even just simply creating awareness. Like, you have awareness now and like noticing where in your body that sits when you think about that and honoring and giving that feeling. Like attention instead of wanting to like shove it down or feel uncomfortable with it. And I think that that's what a lot of our conditioning has been, is to like not feel and like let the big emotion go. But really what we need to do is get it up and out, and we need to feel that emotion. And so definitely like just on your own, being able to sit with it and know that it's there, and give it voice, but not give it power. And there's a difference between the two. One is like joining with, and one is just us like sitting with it. And then we don't want to join with it because it doesn't have to be us, but it can also be a part of us, and we can acknowledge it and then let it go. So it's really important to not, I guess, identify with the trauma or the block or the resistance and knowing it's a part of us, give it some love and compassion and allow it to come up and out. What do you think, Gabby? What works best for you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like identifying the story, identifying what the feeling is, like you said. And then once I kind of understand it, doing a reframe. And then what I like to do is then go into the somatic of processing out. So I like to work from what we in psychology call like a top-down methodology for this kind of a thing, which is like cognitive to somatic, right? So we cognitively process like, okay, what is it that's coming up for me? And for me, it was like, ooh, like I have this really gross feeling when it comes to being abundant because I just feel like it's bad. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. It sounds really weird, but I'm uncomfortable. Okay, so let's like dig into that. Why? Like think about it. And it takes some time because the funny thing is, and you know this more than anyone, that once you pop the question in your conscious mind, it's planted the seed in your subconscious to start marinating. And just because you can't consciously like come up with an answer about why you feel uncomfortable with money, why you're feeling very scarce, why you're feeling all these things that are coming up for you, your subconscious knows. So once you kind of like let the question sit in your conscious, your subconscious will pick it up and pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to any intrusive thoughts or memories, anything that comes up and you're like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that in like 15 years. Like that's probably your subconscious popping up some answers for you. And it happens randomly and it happens when they're triggered, but it starts with planting the seed of asking, why is it like this? And giving yourself time to have your subconscious show you why, and take notes and journal and do all those things. And then once you understand why, then move into the phase of integrating and healing that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And I love what you said about like identifying it, because like something I live by is like questioning everything, like questioning every belief, questioning every intention. And I'm human, so I often just have my subconscious autopilot thoughts and I don't even think about it. And I have people in my life who will help me question, because sometimes I'm not able to see it myself, but questioning like, why do I feel this way? Where did I get this from? Where is this programming? And then seeing where you become kind of complicit with it and actually challenging the meaning of it. Like, is this even mine to own? Like, do I even believe this? Or can I start like finding evidence otherwise? Can I start creating evidence otherwise in my life that tells me the opposite of what I believe? And it's really hard if you ask yourself, like, I'm never gonna make, for example, $100,000. If that belief is like, if that's like been your intention and that's your belief, start questioning like, well, have I ever seen anybody else make it? Like, have I ever made money in a way that makes me feel like I'm on track to make $100,000? Have I ever made more than I thought I was going to make before? And just start finding really small areas where there is absolutely evidence otherwise of that belief, or there could be the potential for evidence otherwise of that belief. And when you start to get in that pattern of just questioning and challenging the complacency and complicity of our thoughts, like you start opening up the awareness, you start opening up the idea that it's not exactly what you've been seeing in this tunnel vision and this people. And another thing I would really encourage you to do that I absolutely love, and it takes some practice, but so the old idea, whatever you place your focus on is what grows. Like, and like whatever you place your attention on grows. Your energy flows to it, right? So if you start noticing everywhere around, if we're talking about money, everywhere around you where there's the possibility for money to be made, automatically your subconscious mind is going to start finding more and more and more of those areas where you can create money. And it may be in your business, it may be different avenues in your business, like diversifying, or it may be, like selling the rug underneath your chair. It could be, it could be just whatever it is, to like find different ways to just show that it's possible to create money. And then with repetition, your body starts to look for that automatically and starts noticing that in many different ways. You start seeing the outside. I'm looking out my window, but you start seeing the outside world very differently with opportunity instead of from more of a limited lens. So it creates a different perspective, which is that's all we have is our own perspective. So we challenge that.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so funny. And once you start, that shift is so huge. And it didn't really occur to me, like you put it so clearly. Oh, that's a thing. That's actually like a thing you can intentionally do. I think
Yeah.
out of necessity, my boyfriend and I at one point were moving from our place. This was like 2 years ago. And I'd start doing manifestation. I started doing like more like getting used to abundance and trying to really build my business.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sold a bunch of stuff and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
we just made like a bunch of extra money and it was like right there.
Yeah.
And that kind of
Yeah.
shifted. And then I started to see like, ooh, we could do that, or like, ooh, we could do that. And ooh, that's a good idea. There's a need there. And
Yeah.
now like, I'm like, oh, I think of money as like, oh, it's out there, it's floating, it's available.
Yeah.
I can do so much fucking good with it. So like, how do I get more of it in a way that
Exactly.
feels really good? And even in, yeah, and that's really, and once, like you said, your kind of mind is trained that way to kind of look for those gaps where you kind of like make some money or create it or call it in. You don't stop, and it's powerful, powerful stuff.
It's super powerful. And I think what's fun about it is like you get that like creates evidence for you. Like, you know, talking about needing to prove otherwise, you know, it creates evidence. So when you start finding ways to be like, oh, I can look at it this way, or like I could, I could sell the rug, or I can, sell a bunch of things, or I could offer this smaller price item in my business that maybe will help me make an extra $1,000 a month or whatever. That starts opening up opportunities for you, and you get evidence, and that evidence is what your subconscious is looking for. It's looking for proof of the belief. And so if you've changed your belief by creating new evidence, that's really powerful. And like,
hell yeah.
We can do this at any point in our lives with anything. Like, I love this, Jam, because you can change your perception. And it just requires you to like question it. Like, is this even true? And when you're living from a scarcity mindset, like, when things feel heavy or it feels like a drag, or you're like, I can't see out of this lens right here. And as soon as you open that up to here, as soon as you see something just a little bit differently, it automatically expands for you. And the more and more and more you see, which just creates momentum. So you can do this with any area of your life, but it's looking for the things that you want. And even if they're in other people, even if seeing other people do it. And that's what to go back to the beginning too, Gabby, like seeing how other coaches, mental health coaches are, running their business and what they're charging, and how you create the packages and all of that. Like, that was so new for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, now I understand it. My subconscious was like, wait a second, we can see so much more because of this. So I started seeing opportunities in a completely different way. And that's what happened. So I encourage anybody who's in question for that to also look around, and look at it with intention, instead of just with your people vision. Like, look at it with intention. And if it doesn't feel good for you, if there's that attachment to it that feels really heavy or really challenging, question that and get really, really curious.
Yeah.
Like, the best thing you can do for yourself is get really curious.
Yes, get curious. There's no reason why you shouldn't be so abundant, doing the things that you love, sharing your gifts, making an impact, helping other people. Why shouldn't you be making a lot of money to do something so fucking great? There's so many people making so much money who don't help anybody, really. I mean, they're helping themselves and they're helping their investors, but they're not really doing anything meaningful to help the planet, to help other people on a deep level. That can be you, that can be me. That's conscious entrepreneurship. And that's what I want to encourage, is that also this new framework, or this idea that you're not taking away from anybody just because you have more. And with more, you can do more, you can give back more, and you can make more impact. So my question to you is not is to really, to question things, to ask yourself, why do I believe that having more money means I'm taking away from somebody else? Are you going to their house and taking money out of their hands? Please stop.
Right.
If you're not, then great, and it's true. Like, there are people really suffering. There are people who have really nothing. The world is always going to have suffering. If you want to make a difference, you don't do it by becoming one of the people who suffers. You do it by claiming a new paradigm, a new narrative.
Ooh, I love that. That was juicy, Gabby.
I don't know where that came from. And I just want to throw it out there.
Just channel that. But I think it's such a good point, because I love what you said. And that's like, we get so afraid that we're taking away from other people. Like we're stealing from other people. Like there's this like piece of like the pie that only everyone gets. And if we have too large a piece, that means other people are without. But that's not how money works. Like money is created, meaning it's limitless. It's not something that is like, you know, and not self-serving, but it's not like only, it's not just slotted for us. Like there's a certain amount. Like if we change our frame of mind to say that money is limitless and we can literally make as much of it as we want or need for ourselves, and that's individual for everyone, that is a completely different shift than money's limited, or money is you know, a resource that will run out because that's the conditioning. That's just the conditioning. And I think that that's why it's so important to get curious and to question, why do I believe this? And what fucking truth is there to this? Like at all? Like what truth is there to this? There isn't. And start seeing it in just a different light.
Absolutely.
And another thing I will give to the sorry, there's such a delay. Another thing I will give to the audience is if you are like, if you've done the inner work, because again, I said this in the very beginning, but like the money mindset is 99%. It's all inner work. It's all inner work. And from the inner work, then you can, but it's definitely an inner oh God, you froze. Okay, there you are. Are we good?
Sorry, I got a call from a telemarketer, so I hate that.
Do not disturb. But what I want to say is, if you've done the work, if you've like, you're like, I've cleared this belief, I have no idea why I still feel this way, like what's coming up for me, I would question, what do you have to gain by staying exactly where you are? Because there is some reason why you have not allowed yourself unconsciously to move on. Why are you not getting the thing that you want despite doing all the work, doing all the healing, all the clearing, whatever? Like what do you have to gain by staying exactly where you are? And if you get really honest with yourself, like what do you have to benefit? Like why does it feel good to still stay safe and small? And if you stay safe and small, like then what do you like, right? Like if you question that as entrepreneurs, like, right, we don't have to work more. I know that was a big one for me. I'm like, well, if I don't like show up, then I actually don't have to get more work, even though I wanted more clients and more work, but I'm like, oh, if I don't show up, then I actually don't have to work more. Or like more money, like hiring out like a bigger team, like, right? If you stay safe and small, then, you know, it doesn't cost you more money. You don't need extra help, or you don't have to like, you know, get a website designer or hire a team member, or get a virtual assistant, or, you know, pay your taxes. Like if you have a smaller income, then it's like less output, right? And so really getting honest with yourself too about like, why am I not moving forward? And what am I actually gaining? Is there something for me to gain here in this position by staying exactly where I'm at, and getting really curious and questioning, okay, like what is that for me? Because if you've done the work and you've gotten honest with yourself, there's probably something that's telling you like it's safer to stay exactly where you are, because I actually am afraid of, you know, more hours or less time away from my family, or whatever it is that comes up. I know that that's a big one too, is if you work more, then you have less time for your family. So
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, we have a good question, and I think Elliott, you should answer this one. I'm gonna probably butcher this name, so I apologize. Jerice. She says, "Hey guys, I'm a nursing student, and it's a dream of mine, but I've been feeling overwhelmed. Oh my God, kudos to you for being in nursing right now. You're amazing.
yeah, no kidding.
What motivates you to continue when you feel like you want to quit?"
Well, and this is a really good point too. Like, this is why it's really important to have a why in everything we do. And I know, Gabby, we talked about this a lot in our program too, but like, what is your why?
This is what I was gonna say.
Yeah. But it's it makes sense, right? Like, because whenever you come up against doubt, because we're human and that's innate, like have your why. Like why are you doing this? Like, why are you a nursing student? What is your, like, what are you here to get? What is the impact you're wanting to make? And coming back to that why, for me, it's so important. Like I have my personal whys, like I want freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of travel. Like I have some like personal values that matter, but also like in the space I am now, I can reach so many more people than I could have ever reached in my old space. And that is really important for me. It is really important for me to create impact. And like, I can come back to that why when I'm questioning, well, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. And so it's really important to be grounded in your why and to have that up front. So I would definitely, Jersey, sorry, I might not say your name correctly, but like create your why. And if you have that, great, get grounded in it again. Gabs, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just say that's everything I would have said, and that's what drives me all the time. And when I start to feel disconnected, it really is about re-grounding, reminding myself again why I'm doing this. When I get like comments that are a little bit hateful, or I, run out of things on my to-do list and I'm like, going crazy because I'm pushing everything around. And, when things are going nuts, I'm like, why am I doing this? And it's like, oh yes, because the world needs massive healing and I need to help facilitate the people who are doing the work to get out there and fucking kill it, because we need help. We need people out there who are going to heal the world.
1,000%.
Yeah. And then nursing is really, really hard. Nursing is extremely strenuous. I don't know it from personal experience, but I've had clients who were nurses, and I've just heard, one of my clients had like 4 days on, like 12-hour shifts, living at the hospital for like 4 days at a time. And it's extremely stressful, even if you're just a student as well. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself, because sometimes the overwhelm can just come from burnout, and the overwhelm is because we're just like really working too hard. And we're also, keep in mind, in the middle of a pandemic, guys, like, and in the middle of like this insane social uprising, an election year, like, or whatever, wherever you are, there's a lot of stress happening. So you're also in a trauma response. We're in this like permanent trauma state right now. Everybody is, which is why everybody's energy is super funky. Like, you're really tired for a couple of days, and then you're like lit, and then you're like, I don't know where I am, and I'm angry, and all these things. It's a part of that. So if you're feeling right now in this space and time overwhelmed, remember the context. Remember that you're not just like going to school in like a normal, regular like time, that there's this added layer and multiple layers of stress, and that nursing itself is extremely stressful. So take really good care of yourself and make sure that you are engaging in self-care as much as you can during this time. Otherwise, it's going to be, very difficult to not feel overwhelmed. And then again, just connect to your why. I think we lost Elliott here, but that's okay. Maybe she'll join us again, but I do want to leave any room for any other questions or anything else that you guys have about me, about my business, about what I teach, about Ignite, about whatever it is that's like coming up for you right now. I am here to help you guys out. Ignite is going to be open for enrollment until the 31st. So on the 31st, we're closing our cart for the rest of the year. So that's it. You will have no other chances to jump in on this program until 2021. So I highly recommend just get in there, fill out an application. If you can't do it this round, at least you know how much it costs, you know what to set up for, and you can sign up for the next round. And it's just a fucking great program. And you guys are going to be so supported. So if you have any questions, let me know. We do a combination of the business work and the inner work. So you get the full leadership training, and you get to launch a business that is going to be super successful for as long as you decide you want to run it. And a business that also can expand, as you grow, and as you kind of step more fully into yourself, as you become the light leader that you really want to be. The truth is that, money is around. Money will always be taken by people. And whether you decide to be one of those people that jumps in on that is your choice. And no one can tell you to break these paradigms. No one can do them for you. No one can do your inner work for you. Hey, Alexis, love you so much. But, it's that you really need to deconstruct this for yourself. And I think people who have gone through their own trauma, people who have gone through, who know their own inner struggle, who are sensitive, who are empaths, we have such conditioning and programming around feeling guilt and shame around money. And we really need to fucking not let someone else's narrative keep us in a place where we stay small, because I think what we forget is that we are the most powerful people on the planet, that we know more than most people, that we can help, that we can really make serious change. If you're a healer, if you're a therapist, a coach, whatever it might be. So don't let the powers that be that have kind of programmed us to look at money as taking from other people or evil or greedy. Like, fucking yes, take it to church. Yes. Like, understand that it's your choice and you can do whatever you want with your abundance. If you want to start a nonprofit with your abundance, fucking yes, please. I have a couple, and I don't talk about this because I'm not about to, like, I'm not showy about it, but I have a couple of 6-month scholarship one-on-one clients who don't pay a penny because they can't. They're not in a place where they can, but they're people I really, really, really wanted to mentor. So I would never be able to take on those few scholarship clients for full transformations unless I had abundance and time to spare, abundance of time, abundance of energy, money, all of those things to be able to give back, not to mention all the free shit I'm creating all the time, the DMs I help people. And then I charge for a couple of offerings. But what that does is I've made over $300,000 in my business in under a year. So it's out there, guys. Like, this is not money I ever had in my fucking life. So let me just tell you, as I choke on my own saliva, that it's out there. And I'm going to bring Elliott back on because here she is, and we're going to finish up here. But I just wanted to say that because I think it's really fucking important that we not allow this narrative of healers are supposed to live in poverty and give away everything for free dictate how we move forward in this new paradigm where we value healers and we actually give our healers what they deserve, because in ancient times, in tribal times, healers were taken care of by their village. Healers were given food and gifts and bounty and help and energy. Healers were taken care of because they were valued, and that's why they did their work for free. But it wasn't for free. They were automatically being like upheld and taken care of by their community. But we've lost that. So we need to understand that we can get back there, but it's going to take a little bit of reclamation. So know your sovereignty as a healer and know what your energy is worth. So that's my I'll get off my soapbox now. But anyway, welcome back.
I was like, where did I go?
Yeah. So any of this stuff bringing up, like anything bringing up for you, or anything you want to add to that kind of tail end of what I was saying?
Yeah. Spot on. Like, everything feel like, if you're wondering if Gabby's full of shit, she's not. Like, the program that she outlines, that she shares with you guys, is exactly like what we experience. And I think what's so fun is like, even like understanding that, like, we can show up, like, how do I want to say this? We can be leaders, and now is the time that we need leaders. And what I love about Gabby is she saw this gap for us. Like, she saw this opportunity to create like a space for us to really transform and be held in that container. And I don't say that lightly, because like, feeling like it's hard for me to like be in a mentoree role. Like, I love being in the leader role, and it's something like I've just always kind of sat in. And so I love that Gabby was able to hold a space for us that allowed us to really kind of come out of our shell. She nurtured the parts of us individually that needed to really be nurtured in order for us to grow. And I didn't catch all of that, Gabby, because I got kicked off the live, but I just like, now is the time for everyone to kind of step into this position of leadership. Like, we are so fucking needed. And I really especially after, not to interrupt, but like this weekend with Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing was such a fucking wake-up call again. We need leaders, you guys. We need leaders. No one's gonna come in and save us. It's us. So either we step the fuck up or stop complaining, because at this point, the leaders are us. And I think we forget that it's not like there's no I don't know, like mountain somewhere where in a hole leaders are hiding, and we're like coming out one at a time and we don't know who they are and they're random. They're you and me. Yeah. They're people who decided they had a vision for something different and they stepped into it. So we need leaders. We need you. Like, please believe in yourself and get the mentorship, whether it's with me, with Elliott, with someone, whoever, but step into your sovereignty and show up, because we need you, and it's so worth it. Yes, preach, girl. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's, and that's, you made such a good point. Like, this is available for all of us. Like, and if we inspire something in you, and this is what I love about this work, is if we trigger or inspire in something in you, like, pay attention to that feeling, pay attention to that, because we are just mirroring back to you the possibility of what it is you can do and have for yourself. And that's really fucking cool. And that's also why it's really incredible to spend your time in a container around people who are leveling up with you, to continue to mirror back to you all the ways that that you can evolve, all the ways that you can still grow and evolve. And I think that that's really powerful to just thinking about community and being in a space like a mastermind. That was my first mastermind. It was the first time I've ever hired anybody. I was like, Gabby was incredible. And just to be able to have that
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I told you, I like that I can figure it out on my own, and like, it's fine. But like, I realized, oh, it's way easier to just like have, like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, period. But
no, and you don't have to. And
being in that space, in that container, allows us to just kind of, again, like, grow and nurture and like water the seeds so that they fucking just grow. And that's what I love about, and I do believe that community creates that. And it's like, now is the fucking time. And we're not any different than anyone else watching this, which is really great. And I hope that somebody gets inspired by this, because I just want to be a mirror to you, to your own fucking potential.
Yeah, seriously, guys. Like, and if you're feeling envy, because I used to look at coaches or people like this and be like, oh, this is like bullshit, or like, fuck these people.
Yeah, 1000%.
Like, they're not like this in real life. Which also, that could be true too. I don't know, but not me. I mean, what you see is what you get. Sorry.
1000%. Yeah.
But you know, if envy is coming up for you, that is such a good indicator of what you really want for yourself, that you might be denying for yourself. Like, envy was such an indicator for me of not like, oh, this person is bad, even though that's how we like see it. It's really a projection of our own dreams, and kind of seeing that we're not stepping up for ourselves the way that this person might be, and then they're seeing results and we're not, and we're like, fuck them. Well, you know, like, instead of using, it takes a lot of energy to be upset. Like, take that energy and grind and hustle and put your business and create it and bring it into fruition, because like, there is no reason you should be envious of anybody. Just be like, oh, I want that. Be like Ariana Grande. Like, I want that. I got that. Like, just fucking make it happen for yourself.
I love that. I love that. And you're absolutely right. Like, and that's the beauty of, like, again, like, I keep coming back to community and containers, because it is just simply a mirror. And so if somebody's bringing up something, if somebody's doing better than you in a container, it is not a fucking competition. It is an opportunity for you to take a look in and say, where, like, what part of me wants this too, and how can I get there? What does that look like? And so, and you can do that one-on-one. It's great to be able to like have somebody hold your feet to the fire for that, and community can really mirror that back to you as well, just because everyone's kind of doing it together and leveling up together. And so it really is a quick paced mirror for you. And that's what I love. Like, I'm all about transformation.
Absolutely.
And, like, let's like move through it. So incredible.
Yeah. Oh my God. Amazing. Well, this has like been, I didn't even realize how time flew. Thank you guys for checking us out and hanging out with us for a little bit as we talk about like the sometimes like uncomfortable stuff when it comes to money and starting a business and jumping into the space of like wanting to create big things, but also feeling like, ooh, I don't know if I want it. So thank you for joining us, and we'll put this up for a replay as well. And if you guys are interested in the Ignite program, check out Elliott. Her handle is at _ Elliott Lea.
Elliott Lea.
Yes. _ Elliott Lea, sorry. Lea though, spelled Lea.
Yeah.
And so go check her out. I'll put it in the little comments as well when I post this. You can DM her. She's happy to walk you through her experience. She had a fucking phenomenal launch. She did a lot of inner work, a lot of inner work around like being able to find stillness for herself, being able to really hear her own voice and then like share it in a very like intentional way, working on energy leaks. And then also the money stuff, which of course is like what we all work through and what I work through consistently, not like it hasn't even ended. So she really can tell you all about her experience if you're interested. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And
Gabby,
we will see you guys
soon.
This was
so fun.
Yay. Yes. All right. Bye guys. Until next time.
Yeah.